Welcome to Spill. Spill is a weekly chat where culture,
Weird perspective.
and personal growth collide.
My name's Cam.
And I'm Davis.
And we are two friends with small town Indiana navigating life in the Big Owl.
This show mixes lighthearted banter with thoughtful insights, aiming to entertain and offer a little bit of wisdom without taking anything too seriously.
All right, so let's dive in. Our first topic that we want to talk to you about today was breakups lately. You may have heard about them on the news. You may have heard about them in the group chat, but they are coming around. The end of Hot Girl Summer.
Brat Summer. But it's interesting because, did Brat Summer... I feel like you would think that relationships would suffer in Brat Summer, but it really seems as though Christian Girl Autumn is coming in with an energy that we haven't really seen before.
No, we have. You usually start seeing the breakups like kind of trickle in March. I think they get full blown in May, and then like June, people are ready kind of like for Pride to be single. And then, I don't know, this year it's come a little later. Like the leaves started changing and like the relationships started falling.
Well, I don't know if I said this to you specifically. Maybe I did, but I've not said it to our listener, which is, so first of all, I ended a 4-month romance situation, but then I think what's more compelling is we have many good friends and also just like outer circle insta gays that I know who had 2, 3 to like 10-year relationships where they were owning homes, owning businesses together, and they've all broken up as well in the last year for sure.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
My theory is that it has to do with the recalibration of the pandemic, because even if people are not conscious of this, the pandemic and lockdown put everyone into people were just traumatized, whether they would use that word or not. And so I think it puts everyone in this scarcity mindset where even if this isn't happening at a conscious level, they're thinking, oh, I kind of want someone with me, the world low-key kind of ending. I'm clutching, I'm grabbing, I'm closing off. And every year post-pandemic, we've still kind of been in a recalibration period, but now with 2024... now almost 2025, oh my God, we're calibrated. The calibration has occurred. And so I was saying this, and then you know what? My friend's gay uncle said that he saw the same argument in the New York Times. So, and who's to say where they got that idea?
Are you a writer for the New York Times?
I'm not, but I'm waiting for my check.
I have to agree. I also think there's just like I think maybe it's a little bit of like post-pandemic, although I think we would probably start to blame everything. I think everything within the next like till 2030, I think that's like probably we're gonna be able to use the post-pandemic explanation. Maybe it'll wear itself out by then, like a decade after the fact. However, I don't disagree with you. That being said, I just think like I think a little bit of it is Brat Summer. I just think like everything it's changing, fresh, new. There's a new political candidate. Like everyone's just kind of like ready.
Leaves falling down like pieces into place.
Exactly.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be, this is a whole other conversation, but going through puberty with social media, yes, Cam and I are Gen Z kings. We are cusp. We have like a pinky toe in the millennial pool, but we really, I think, we are by all standards Gen Z. Went through puberty. I had an Instagram. We went through puberty, unlike many. No, we went through puberty with social media, which, in my opinion, is that's what makes the great change occur. And I just think about how much that rotted, it continues to rot our brains. And now with like younger Gen Z and especially Gen Alpha, it's like more social media, like these preschoolers. I don't know if that's true. Maybe this might be exaggeration. Please clock me if I'm wrong. But I feel like these preschoolers, these third graders at least, have TikTok or whatever. And even if they don't, then just looping in the pandemic, like there's about to be a lot of either weird or broken people just like in the town square, like in common spaces that
I think like I think like social media, and I think like there's the links are there for like
Are we talking about Yum Yum?
No.
Oh.
He did get me on track though. The links are there for like the link between, like the usage of like social media and cell phones between like mental health concerns. So I don't think I don't think it's unwarranted to have that opinion or that take.
Yeah. Are you excited about the breakups in the air? Like, as someone who has not been personally affected, do you feel like you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's so many, as a single man, there's so many, like, you know what I mean? This is Prime Day for you. It's Macy's one day. It's Macy's one day sale.
There's a lot, like they say, there's a lot of fish in the ocean. However, it never hurts to have a few more in there. I would say that it's exciting. I mean, I'm not personally looking for a relationship now or want to be in any of the relationships that people have just gotten out of.
Okay.
But I feel like we can probably move on out of a transmission.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Do you find dating to be easy in New York City?
I think it's easy to date. I think it's harder to like actually quality date is a lot harder because you do have to treat it kind of like a full-time job. If you want to go on a date, 2 dates like every night in New York, that's totally doable. But if you like want to find people that are compatible, like that's when that's gonna like require a few more minutes of your time.
Okay, so your last serious relationship was
Like
many years ago.
Yeah,
many years ago. Like, okay, so the feeling that you felt in that now with the maturity, the perspective that you've accumulated, do you feel like that was quote unquote love? Do you think it was just codependence? Do you think it was infatuation? Like, how would you define it? Why not? The people are right. Oh. I mean, I'll loop it back to me pretty quickly, but like I do want at least I do want at least a little bit of it. And it's like,
so I'll flesh out my dating opinions in New York. Let's do that. I don't want to delve into my personal life.
we don't have to dive into your personal life, but I do want to know. I want to dive into like my capacity to love because I have some like concerns about it. And so I think I'm just trying to understand where you fall in all of this.
I think it's like so hard to bring up a relationship that happened like a long time ago and like really kind of understand like what those feelings were because you were such a different type of person. However, I do think that like years of maturing like in adulthood, I think the standard for like a relationship becomes very different from like when you're in high school or when you're in college from like when you're a young adult and to now being like an adult that's been almost out of college as much time as like we were in college.
Right, is how wild.
Yeah, like we're almost like 4 years out at this point.
Well, yeah, 3.5, I guess.
Yeah, like we're pretty far in the other, like we're over the hill.
Not over the hill. Yeah, no, we are on the wrong side of 25, as people like to say. Cam and I are both 26 for everybody is trying to do their Googling at home right now.
I don't know. I just think like I think quality dating, you don't really make it use to start it until like your later 20s or something. You can still be having fun.
I get that. I was hooking up with this guy on Wednesday. Someone I had hooked up with once before. Really good experience, like really in so many ways my type. And not like thinking too much about it, but sometimes you hook up with someone, you're like, this is only a hookup for sure. And other times you're like, this is only a hookup, and also, who knows, like maybe if we keep on doing this, there's probably a world where I could maybe see this becoming something, And I would say this was more so the latter. And we ended up talking a lot about relationship. Okay, well, actually, you'll like this. We were kind of taking a break. I walked into his bathroom to go pee, and there were 2 automatic toothbrushes sitting on the counter.
Oh.
And which I don't. That's fine. But I literally I had the gall and the audacity because I picked them up and I walked out and I said, "Who is she?"
That is so funny. Also, totally something you have the right to do.
Yeah, like mind you, this is not a serious thing with this person. This is my second time meeting him. Well, actually, I thought it was my second time meeting him. It turns out he was like, "Oh, that's my ex's." I say, "Oh, how long have you guys been broken up?" He said, "I guess a month."
So like add another one to the tally of the people who are.
Or add another one. Yeah, on and off for 2 years. I have a feeling that their story isn't over yet because he's like, we've been on and off. You can tell. I could tell that he was really still into this person, and I was like, oh, is it someone I know? Which is, I guess, I think that's how I asked the question, which is probably
It's not a little crazy question.
It's not that crazy. Yeah, in New York, like, I guess even in New York, just being gay, it really is such a small world. And he said yes, and he wasn't going to tell me. And then I was like, just tell me. And he said, okay, well, we've actually met before the first time we hooked up. And I was like, oh, okay. Which didn't surprise me because this guy's very handsome, but he's also kind of generic looking.
Okay.
And it just, like, he's very much my type. So I'm like, okay, of course I would have talked to this person if I saw them at a party. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? I was like, this is so unsurprising. And so he says, yeah, we were in Fire Island. You came up to me. Okay. And you and you told me that my boyfriend had DP'd you before.
This case.
No. Okay. And so I was like, okay, that's like a very short list. It's a short list. Listen. And so I was like, oh wait, it was, and then I said the name, and he was like, yes, that is who my ex is. And so then we started. That's honestly all kind of unimportant to the story. But then we started talking about like love and all of these things. And at one point, he was like, you know, don't you ever wanna wake up next to somebody? I was like, no.
No, I spend a lot of time actually trying to avoid sleeping anywhere that's not my own bed by myself.
I have a queen size bed. And, like, I kind of need every inch of it.
Yeah, and I actually kind of want a bigger bed, but not so I can fit someone else in there.
Yeah. And I was just saying, he was saying, like, oh, relationships are, nothing will ever bring about as much personal growth as relationships do. And the thing is, when I hear that, I don't think that's wrong. I do think that relationships are the ultimate opportunity to exercise love and selflessness and have a mirror held up to you so you can see all your own shit. And also, I don't know, not to toot my own horn, but being self-aware is kind of like my whole thing. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've done a decent amount of growth. And I was talking to my other friends who's also, like, we're both very woo-woo. We get together, like, once every 4 to 6 weeks and just, like, talk about whatever Eckhart Tolle lecture we had just listened to. And I was with him yesterday, and we were having the same conversation. And I was, again, saying, that sounds true. I'm not even arguing with that. And also, I have a lot of friends who again, just got out of 2-3 year relationships, and I've never had a boyfriend, for the record, never had a boyfriend. But, like, you want to guess who I think is a little more balanced and aware of their problems and, like, actively working on them? There's no way for me to relay that information without it sounding so annoyingly egotistic. But, like, this is just a neutral, observable statement. Like, that I dare you to disagree with.
I think being in a relationship, you'll be, and maybe you are, like, having just got out of one. I think there's, like, a lot of issues maybe you're not aware of that, like, a relationship can kind of draw your attention to. I don't think that's, like, I think people are maybe aware of themselves in other ways, or, like, how they interact with a partner than maybe you might be. But I do agree, you are self-aware, and you're typically pretty good at understanding, we'll call them other people's pain points about you.
I just think that no matter what conflict you're experiencing in your life, your world changes, or the way that you relate to the world will change when you adopt the practice of, every time there's a problem, look at what's on your side of the street. And it sounds so basic, but I don't think many of us do that, because we can spend all day long talking about, oh, what's right or what's wrong, or what this person should be doing, or what we need from this situation. And, like, it feels really good to bitch about these things. I think it is healthy to a certain extent to, like, you know, not hold this down, to have areas where you can bitch about things. But at a certain point, then you have to be an adult and recognize this is who the person is. This is this person, believe it or not, probably trying their best in some capacity. And so that I can't control them at all I can control is myself. And even in situations where it's not, I'm not saying every situation is 50-50. I'm just saying that in no situation have I ever been, in almost no situations have I ever been 100% in the right. So like, even if it's an 80-20% thing, it's more productive for me, my peace, my happiness, and just the evolution of my soul for me to focus on what the 20% is, whether that's like, maybe it's an opportunity for me to practice being more understanding or more forgiving or like holding space. And these are all positive things. And if you're like in a relationship with someone, I think, yeah, you're faced with opportunities all the time where you have to do that. But also, I don't know, I've had pretty real conflicts with my friends and like my roommates and stuff where we really have to do the work. And so I'm like, just because we're not like sleeping together, does that make, what actually makes that different? Because I still would say I really love those people.
Yeah. I think like probably the realest thing you can get to like a romantic relationship while not having one is probably like a roommate, which I think many people in New York are accustomed to. But no, I hear you loud and clear.
Well, and kind of shifting, do you have anything else to say about the breakups, about dating?
I actually don't think I have anything else to say.
All right, so now we're going to talk about not me, but a friend. Not me, but a friend.
That's not a song.
No, but I'm imagining we'll eventually get little jingles. Early days of the podcast, we're not there yet. So maybe if you write jingles and you're feeling charitable, send them to davis@wake.nyc. We'll happily accept them.
Okay.
Cam, why don't you tell them about Not Me But a Friend segment?
I think you should start.
Okay, so Not Me But a Friend is a segment where every week Cam and I will share something that happened to not one of us, but a friend. Or it might be something that did happen to us, but we're too embarrassed to tell you. So we'll just say it was Not Me But a Friend. And which of the two is it? It's really anyone's guess. Feel free to email your guesses in to davis@wake.nyc or leave a comment along with a 5-star rating. So, okay. My Not Me But a Friend is this person was asked to walk in kind of New York Fashion Week, but this is not a major fashion brand. I think this is like a very small designer.
Or something.
Yeah, so I'm not sure like what that even actually means. I don't know like where this thing is taking place. I'm kind of surprised that the friend is not someone like particularly good looking, which, okay, by conventional standards. Okay, well then I give it away. It's obviously me.
Sorry, this person is not a model.
Okay, sorry. This person is not a model. Anyway, this person is not a model. And, but like he went and he tried on some of the stuff, I guess. And then like, that was a week before. And then maybe the day or two before he was actually going to come back. The person, like the designer or whatever, texted him and was like, oh, actually, we actually don't have the shoes that we need that we're gonna have you wear in your size, like for the looks we were gonna do. So I think it's not gonna work. You know, kind of like a soft launching, or letting him down easy, right? We just don't have the shoes. This person then says, oh wait, I actually really liked those shoes. Like, just tell me where I can get them. Like, I'm happy to buy them in my size. I needed some nice black shoes like this anyway, so no problem. And then the truth comes out. He says, actually, there was on the clothes that you came and tried on, there's been a lingering scent that we haven't really been able to get rid of. And so I'm sorry, like we can't move forward. It was literally, and this person also really does talk a lot about like how good they smell and how like they don't use deodorant because like they don't need to, because like their body just makes this like really naturally appealing smell.
That's how I not me with a friend. I don't think it's definitely not going to hit as hard as that. Maybe I should have gone first.
Okay.
We move on for next time. Like can cut it out if it doesn't hit. But so one of my friends like notoriously talks about how he never gets stopped on the street for like directions in New York, which he's like rather quite sensitive about because he knows directions very well. So he is walking to make reservations at this restaurant the other day, and this woman stops him and is like, "Hey, I'm looking for this address. Like, she told me it was going to be between this street and this street." So he like whips out his phone. He's like, "Okay, you actually just have to go one more block up." And she's like, "Thank you so much." And they're kind of like hitting it off, talking for a minute. She's like, "Oh my God, actually, I love this building behind me. Like, can you take a picture?" So she like gives it in. He's like taking pictures, da 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 da. Like, you know, getting all of her angles. You know, they're kind of like chatting, kicking for like a little while, and then eventually they part ways. So he goes back like to the restaurant he was just walking to get reservations. And he like looks down on his phone and he thought it was, you know, like on 22nd and 5th. And it turns out like it's actually like on 20th and 5th. So he kind of like should have gone the same way that the woman was going to. So he kind of like circles back around and he's coming like to the address and he sees the woman again who he just like took her picture and they were just chatting and stuff like that. He was like, "Oh, like I'm going to this building." And she's like, "What?" And he looks and it's like a residential address. And she's like starting to like visibly panic. And he's like, "No, like it isn't so funny we're going to the same place." He had her address still pulled up on his phone and thought that like but he was actually just like trying to get into the residential building that she was also going to. So she was visibly panicked that she was just being stopped. And I'm like, that's why you never get stopped by randos on the street, is because you're like a weird stalker.
I love that. Wow. Okay, fantastic. What a great not me but a friend. It's crazy out there. Okay, and to wrap up every time, Cam and I are going to go through our final segment, Will to Live, a Reason to Die, where we're going to talk about whether it was something we discussed today, whether it was something that did not make it to the final cut that we just want to highlight, that is really our reason to live and that our will to live, and we're going to share what our reason to die would be. Okay. I was talking about this on Instagram the other day, so I'll just restate it here. I tried to go off my Wellbutrin for like 2 weeks. I'm on a low dose. Talk to your doctors if you're curious about what antidepressants can do for you. And my will to live is the fact that I decided that, you know what, now is not the time. And so I restarted my low dose, and I'm just feeling so much better.
Okay. I would say like my will to live right now is definitely it's still being in the mid 70s in Europe. I notoriously don't like when it gets too hot, being the pale king that I am. Don't like when it gets too cold. So I would say like anywhere between like 75 and like 62 and 75 is like really good, or is really good for me. So my will to live is probably like the weather, even though I know being in the mid 70s in early October is probably net negative for the planet.
Sure. I think my reason to die is, I don't know if it's something that alcohol does to your body. I don't know if it's like, or if it's more so just that you're so over it when you're hungover. But when you're hungover and you go to the bathroom and you have like the endless wipe, just...
That's real.
Yeah, it's like, why won't it stop? I went to a comedy show just Thursday, 2 days ago, and it was a straight male comedian, and he was just like kind of going. It was a very informal whatever, so he was kind of just going through his notes, And one of them was like, he kind of looks, he's like, all right, eating ass, who's doing it? And so like, already funny, whatever. And then he's just like, I was just like, what to say, like, I'm just not sure about it. I mean, when I wipe my butt, like, I don't know if it's ever like completely ever done, right, guys? And I'm like, I was actually like sitting like right in front of him. I'm like, you're looking at a gay man. This is not. We are not the same. We are absolutely not. Yeah. So I do think that probably is an accurate representation of straight men, though.
Yeah. Like the endless wipe is real.
Yeah, so I think like the endless wipe does not affect them because they're like, yep, just another another day. There's an end because they decide there's an end. Yeah, whereas I'm like, I will find the base of this rainbow.
Yeah. Okay, I have a new reason to die. That'll be less funny than that, but maybe I can come up with something. Is like how dark it gets early. I'm someone who like goes and likes to do things in the evening, but when you finish work at 5:30, the sun is down. It is nighttime.
It did happen really fast.
Yeah.
Because like it was just summer. Now it's not.
Yeah.
All right, well. And on that note, just like the days come to an end, unfortunately, so is this episode. So thanks for tuning in. Leave a comment, share with a friend, and leave that 5-star rating. We will be back next week with another thrilling episode of Spill.